Thank you so much for giving me your time today in watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will get significant value out of learning about what we are doing in terms of the change management program at Freemasons Victoria. I want to start by saying that while in some ways this whole change management program was brought about or catalyzed by some events that happened over the last year or so, some of the issues that have emerged have been within Freemasons for a considerable period of time. Gary Sebo shared with me a document that he used as the basis of his change program some nearly 15 years ago. And there are many consistencies in terms of the need for change that went way back as far as then. So while there were some events that brought this to a head, this is not a new issue for Freemasons Victoria. Those events forced Richard to want to take some action. And so he brought the Ethics Centre in at the end of last year. And I just want to read some of the findings of the Ethics Centre just to remind you why we need to make these changes. The first one, Freemasons Victoria is failing to realise its potential due to two related factors directly relevant to governance and culture. Culturally, Freemasonry places great emphasis on the system of rank. This is also reflected in its governance. The governance system does not act as an effective check on the rank system. In fact, in aspects, it is subservient to it. Freemasons Victoria's historic and unwieldy governance system cannot buttress a strong culture due to inherent defects, as outlined in this report. When the culture is weak, it cannot compensate and indeed is likely to compound the problem. These problems of institutional design, coupled with the culture created by the ranked system, have the potential to exacerbate any latent interpersonal tensions that exist amongst its fraternity. Freemasons Victoria has experienced this directly in recent times. And second, recently, the Grand Lodge of Freemasons Victoria has not been a happy place. There has been and remains disharmony, distrust, blame, and allegations of poor behaviour between senior members of the organisation. At the most senior levels, including the Board of General Purposes, these issues have dominated to a point where the capacity of the organisation to realise its core purpose is being undermined. And again, we believe most strongly that now is the time for Freemasons Victoria to consciously reset and to, one, focus on reconciliation, not recrimination, to return to the core precepts of Freemasonry and make defining the organisation's relevance in an increasingly complex modern world the absolute priority, by emphasising charitable pursuits and activities amongst and by the Brotherhood to support their common purpose and fellowship, and to find new ways to attract and retain new members to grow the organisation. In another place, there appears to be a loss of higher order purpose. And again, it is not an overstatement to say that the Board of General Purposes has for some time a toxic and dysfunctional board culture. The Board of General Purpose is divided and factionalized. Now, this is the reason that changes needs to happen. So in addition to the Ethics Centre report, we have the feedback from the forums, and I have personally spoken with several hundred brethren and discovered there are issues with a range of different things, but some of them are aligned with the Ethics Centre report, and some of them are new to it. But there are issues around the Constitution and the policies, and they need urgent reform. The governance arrangements need to be modernised and simplified. There needs to be more transparency, especially from Grand Lodge to lodges. The use and abuse of social media needs to be addressed urgently. There are cases of unhelpfully bossy behaviour at all levels. This is sometimes referred to as bullying, but that's probably an overstatement of the problem. There are, though, indeed, cases of some harassment. We need to return to the purpose and values of Freemasonry. Recruitment and retention of members is critical, and there have been some, very sadly, some unmasonic behaviours. And I'll give you just one example. Last year, there was an anonymous hate mail campaign that was circulated with documents aimed at damaging the reputations of several senior Freemasons. This is outrageous behavior and is known and is shameful. One of the frames that I sometimes think about is this frame of whether is your heart at war or at peace. If your heart is at war, everything that you see, everything that you perceive in your environment will go through that filter, and then we apply our clever brain to it and we amplify it even further. And we end up with a really difficult situation. That's how I see things have happened. Whereas if your heart is at peace, then once again, the way you respond to things that are happening is from a perspective of best intention. Yeah, I don't understand what this person has done. I don't like what they've done, but they probably were trying to do the right thing. So let's have that conversation and find that out, rather than here we go again. And here's the culture of blame, justify, deny, which is the very lowest level of emotional intelligence. And it's a very important thing that we need to change. So I hope that helps you to understand that there is a profound need for some deep change within Freemasons Victoria. And now let's move on to where are we now? As you all know, the Grand Master responded to the feedback from the forums and has already implemented changes to lodge autonomy. This principle of subsidiarity, that is, decisions made at the lowest level, is welcome and much needed. There has been an enormous change in the extent of communications and transparency from Grand Lodge out to lodges. You must have noticed and just this very video recording is an example of that. The work of Ash Long and the communications group has been extraordinary in revolutionizing the amount of information and the availability of information to all members. Another example is that the Ethics Centre report was sent out in full, unredacted. They're really good examples of increased transparency and much needed. A change management steering group has been appointed and held its first meeting. The members have been chosen on merit and also reflect the diversity of experience, rank, and location of the membership. The members are Gary Sebo as chair, Robert Branans as deputy chair, Darren Poynan, who is from a rural area, Ron Ferdinand, Andrew Forbes from Glenroy Lodge, Jake Wilson, Harry Ponticus, and then myself and Frank Warner as secretary. So I hope you'll see that this is not the same old faces, this is a very we've chosen a group of people very much based on merit and very much willing to say exactly what they think, because we want to hear all perspectives. We're in the process of establishing working groups in the following areas: governance, constitution. We're looking at the possibility of a constitutional convention, culture with a focus on behaviours. Rapprochement was the word that was used in the Ethics Centre report. I think I prefer to call it healing, but there are still people involved in the events of the last while that are angry and are hurting, and we really do need to focus on how can we heal those wounds and move on. Another working group will be on rank. There'll be one on social media, member engagement, and then one looking at the issues that might be addressed or experienced by regional remote lodges. We're not setting up new groups where existing groups are already in progress. For example, the Legal and Constitutional Committee will carry on their good work. We will build on the work of the Masonic Behaviours Committee and the member engagement work of the membership VAT. So already quite a lot is being done, and I'm pleased with the progress and the energy and the enthusiasm with which the people who we've talked to about participating in the change program have approached that whole program. So now turning to the future, one key issue is that we really need to balance getting things done quickly with getting things done well. So there is a temptation to rush and get things done very quickly, and there is, in some ways, a level of urgency to do that. But at the same time, we don't want to rush into solutions that don't allow for, with unintended consequences, and don't allow for a really careful consideration of what needs to happen. And so I apologize in advance if you think that there's some frustration about why don't we just do some things, because some of these things require specific experience and skills. Some of them require some careful thought, and we need to really understand the impact that they have on each other. So we will be progressing things absolutely as quickly as we can. We will be keeping you informed along the way, and we will be doing things right. So I'm always open. You can always contact me either by phone or by email. I love to talk with people about the change program, how you can participate. We are looking for more people to help on those working groups. We have had quite a good response, but there are some, we will need some more people. So feel free to express interest to contribute to those working groups. And I look forward to meeting you face to face or in person as soon as we can. Thank you very much.